Welcome to episode 10 of the Token Launch Masterclass. Today we're diving into the art of the data room. Now, I've seen hundreds of teams spend months perfecting a pitch deck, making every slide a work of art. And I get it. The deck gets you in the door. But let me be absolutely clear. The pitch deck gets you the meeting. The data room gets you the money. Deals are won and lost in these folders. Frankly, it's the first place I look to see if a team actually has its act together. It's a raw, unfiltered signal of your professionalism and preparedness. Forget the slick graphics for a second. This is where I get the first real deep look into the soul of your project. So, what even is a data room? In the traditional venture world, it's basically a secure online folder where you put your incorporation papers and financials. Simple enough. But for crypto, that's just the starting line. What I'm really looking for, what separates the pros from the tourists, is how a team answers the crypto native questions. You might find it helps to think from an investor's perspective. I'm not just asking, is this a real company? I'm asking, is this a viable digital economy? I need to see the hard evidence, the deep dive on token utility, the live dashboards for your on-chain metrics, the unredacted smart contract security audits. In this space, your community isn't just a mailing list. It's a defensible moat. Your data room has to prove it. It's a fundamentally different game, so it demands a fundamentally different playbook. All right, let's start building this data room from the ground up with the absolute bedrock, the legal and compliance folder. This is where I go first. Always. What I look for immediately is clarity on the corporate structure. Show me your incorporation documents. Are you a Cayman Foundation? A BVI entity? Just have it there, clean and simple. Next, I jump to the founder agreements. Specifically, what I need to see are the token vesting schedules laid out clearly. It's a huge signal of long-term alignment. Then comes a non-negotiable, the legal opinion letter on your token's classification. You might find it tempting to be vague here, but don't. I want to see a clear opinion from a reputable law firm. And lastly, if you've raised before, include those prior SAFTs or safe notes. This isn't just paperwork, it's the foundation of trust. Legal clarity is paramount. Okay, once that legal foundation is solid, my next click is always on the product and tech folder. This is the engine room. What I'm looking for here is the proof of work. First, give me a link to your private GitHub. I'm not going to read every line of code, but I want to see activity. I want to see commit history. It tells me this is a living, breathing project. Alongside that, I need the detailed technical white paper, not a marketing doc, but the real architectural deep dive. This should be complemented by a clear product roadmap with milestones. Show me where you've been and where you're going. Now for what is perhaps the most critical part of this section, the smart contract audits. You must include the full, unredacted reports from reputable firms. A summary is not enough. This is a non-negotiable signal of professionalism. And a final touch that I find incredibly helpful, a simple system architecture diagram. You might find it helps an investor visualize the entire system in under a minute. Now we arrive at the very soul of the machine, the tokenomics folder. This is arguably the most scrutinized part of any crypto data room and where I spend a lot of my time. What I'm looking for first is not a static PDF, but a detailed interactive tokenomics spreadsheet. I want to be able to see the model, the supply, the allocations, and especially the emissions and vesting schedules. Alongside that, what I find incredibly helpful is a simple, clear document explaining the token's core utilities and its value accrual mechanisms. Just answer the question, why does this token exist? Finally, you might find a visual chart of the token distribution and release schedule does wonders. A clean waterfall chart can show me the entire unlock schedule in a single glance. It's all about proving you've designed a sustainable digital economy. Once I'm confident in the economic design, My next question is simple. Who is this for, and how will you reach them? This brings me to the go-to-market and traction folder. What I look for here is a clear, no-nonsense GTM strategy. Paired with that, what I find essential is a competitive analysis. But don't just list your competitors. Show me you understand the landscape and clearly articulate why you're going to win. Now, a plan is one thing, but proof is another. You might find it's incredibly powerful to let the data speak for itself. What I love to see are direct links to live dashboards on Dune or Nansen, showing me real-time user activity, TVL, or other key on-chain metrics. Finally, don't forget the people. What I look for is a simple summary of community stats, like Discord and Telegram engagement. It proves you're not just building tech, you're building a movement. Okay, technology, tokenomics, traction, it's all crucial. But you could have the best idea in the world, and without the right team, it's just an idea. What I do next is navigate straight to the people folder. Because ultimately, VCs are betting on the builders. What I'm looking for here isn't just a standard resume. I want to see detailed biographies for the core team and key advisors, with a laser focus on their crypto-native experience. Have they shipped a protocol before? Have they managed a community? You might find that providing direct links to their LinkedIn, Twitter, and GitHub profiles is incredibly powerful. It allows me to see their digital footprint, their thoughts on the space, and their actual contributions. To tie it all together, what I like to see is a simple overview of the team's structure and key responsibilities. It shows me this isn't just a group of individuals, it's a coordinated team ready to execute. So, I'm sold on the team. Now let's talk about the money. My next stop is always the financials folder. This is where the rubber meets the road. The first thing I look for is a clean, up-to-date capitalization table. I want to see everything in one place. All equity holders, all token holders, the team pool, everything. What I find really telling is how well this is maintained. Next, I need to know what you'll do with the investment, so I look for a detailed use of proceeds plan. You might find that breaking it down, engineering, marketing, legal, builds a lot more confidence than a single vague number. Finally, I'll dive into the financial projections model. This tells me you've thought seriously about the business itself, not just the tech. It shows me the path from launch to a sustainable operation. Now, let's talk about a meta skill that separates the good data rooms from the great ones. The presentation itself. It's not just about having all the documents, it's about how you organize them. What I always appreciate is seeing a simple, numbered folder structure. O1 legal, O2 product, O3 tokenomics, and so on. It instantly tells me where to find everything. Then, inside those folders you might find that a consistent naming convention, like Project X Tokenomics Model v2.1, saves a ton of back and forth. But what I find to be a real power move is including a simple README document right in the main directory. This file acts as a guide, explaining the folder structure and highlighting key documents. It's a small thing, but it shows you've thought about the experience from my side of the table. It's all about reducing friction and signaling that you are an organized professional team. Okay, so your data room is perfectly organized. But how do you actually share it without losing control of your most sensitive information? This brings us to operational security. What I never want to see is a public Google Drive link. Instead, you might find that using a platform built for this, like DocSend, signals a huge degree of professionalism. What I like about these tools is the granular control. I can grant access on a per-user basis and revoke it instantly. You might also find that features like watermarking documents with the viewer's email adds a serious layer of deterrence against leaks. And the analytics are invaluable. I can see exactly who viewed which document and for how long, which tells me what an investor is genuinely focused on. What I typically do is use a tiered access strategy. An investor gets a light version first, and as they move through the process and trust is built, I grant deeper access. It's not about being secretive. It's about being professional and protecting your intellectual property. Now that we've spent all this time building the perfect data room, let's talk about the other side of the coin. The red flags that make me close the tab immediately. The most common mistake I see is what I call the data dump. Just a single folder with 50 randomly named files. What that instantly signals to me is chaos. Another one is outdated information. If I open a roadmap with deadlines from last quarter, it says attention to detail isn't a priority. But what I find to be the biggest deal breaker is a missing smart contract audit. You might find there's simply no excuse for that. It's a non-starter. Then I'll see tokenomics models that are impossibly complex, or financial projections completely disconnected from reality. What I'm really seeing isn't just a messy folder. It's a reflection of the team's discipline. These aren't just small errors. They're immediate signals of inexperience. So, let's bring it all together. What I hope you've taken away is that a truly world-class data room is so much more than a folder of documents. It's a strategic asset for building trust. You might find that when it's comprehensive, perfectly clear, secure, and transparent, it doesn't just answer questions, it anticipates them. What I see time and again is that this level of preparation dramatically accelerates the due diligence process. And once the data room does its job, and an investor is genuinely impressed, the conversation pivots to the next critical step, the term sheet. That's exactly where we're heading next time. Join me for episode 11, where we'll be dissecting, negotiating term sheets, crypto-specific clauses you can't ignore. Thanks for listening. If you find this information useful, we would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe this channel to help others find us. If there are subjects you would like covered, please add in the comments section, and we will include it in future episodes.